Today we're going to talk about 3 things we did when we were single to prepare for marriage that not many people talk about. The main thing I'd want someone to hear in this conversation is that you don't stumble into being a healthy spouse. All those things are required of you in marriage. So why don't you practice doing that now?
You're a gift to me because I can practice my patience to you.
Yeah.
So we met 2017.
2017, it was a good year.
And I always say that if we met a year earlier than that, I don't think Daniel would have been interested in me.
And I think that if we had met any other time prior to 20, you would have been annoyed with me.
Even like...
You would have been repulsed by me as a person.
Even like 15 years old.
Yeah,
Just any age before we met.
I feel like Mariah was a top tier teenager. And I just wasn't. I wouldn't call myself a top tier teenager. Or preteen, or preschooler, toddler.
So it kind of felt like we were on these like 2 different paths, and then by the time we met, we had kind of found each other on the same path.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about 3 different things that we did when we were single that helped it be the perfect timing.
100%.
When we met.
The first thing that comes to mind is be okay with being bored.
You might be thinking,
talk about it.
What the heck does that mean? And just think about how you are when you're alone and it's silent. Are you okay with a situation like that? If you're not, it might be a warning sign that something deeper is going on in your heart and mind that needs to be healed.
Yeah.
So it could be so many different things.
I know someone in my life that goes on like long hikes. They're single, just by themselves.
That's awesome.
Without any like service
I feel
or
like
anything.
that just communicates
and
so
I'm like,
much
oh,
self-confidence.
you're probably ready for marriage.
Yeah.
But I think there is something about like silence that exposes the worst parts of ourselves and the best parts of ourselves.
Or even just like those thoughts that you're trying to avoid. The things
100%.
that you need to process, they rise to the surface when there's silence. So for me, the year before I met you, what I did a lot in those moments alone was heal from a breakup. And every time I was alone, like that pain or that like just healing process I needed to go through came to the surface, and I'm really thankful that I just leaned into it as much as I could because I did that in those moments when I was alone. By the time I met you, I was ready for another relationship.
Yeah, totally. And I think that like we could like almost like integrate things in our week that allow almost like, you know how people say like heat exposure or cold exposure? It's like allow boredom exposure.
Yeah.
Where it's like when you're driving, intentionally don't put music on.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
if you go for long walks, don't bring your headphones or your phone. And just see what bubbles to the surface when you do that.
Yeah, put more blank space into your life. I remember we used to talk about this when we were dating. We'd be like, I love just being. I remember I'd wake up in the morning, make some tea, and not touch my phone or anything, and I'd call it my time of just being. Just sitting with my tea.
And I remember I was so inspired by that. I wasn't quite there in my life, and I still am not quite there. I think that the closest I do to that is going for a run without my phone and headphones.
Yeah. You just have a different version of just being.
But it's like,
I think
there's a lot of people out there in the world that wouldn't call running just being. They'd be like, running is grueling.
I think the point of this point is having white space in your
100%.
life, whatever it looks like.
Yeah.
The second thing we both really focus on when we were single is knowing who we are, knowing who we aren't, and knowing what we care about.
Yeah.
I feel like I just went on this huge journey right before I met you of figuring all those things out.
Yeah, so this is really about your values.
Yeah.
And I think that this is important because when you get married to someone, obviously you will form collective values, but so much about your core values and their core values make up who you are, irrespective of each other. And so you're essentially bringing 2 core values together.
And it's kind of what draws you to each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or ideally.
Yeah, ideally.
Because sometimes people are drawn towards each other because of superficial things like looks or money or career or whatever it is. But it's like, what I would say is like, know your deeper values. Like when there's seasons of stress or when you have to make decisions between good option A, good option B, what is the value that's almost like a through road that helps you make the right decision or the wrong decision?
Yeah.
And I think that like it's so important for people to almost like push past the like just floating through life.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I go to yoga class and I go for drinks and I go for lunch and I go to work, and not give themselves time to like sort through their values. like something I knew that Mariah valued was family and giving her life as service to others. So you would be a part of programs that feed the homeless. I remember you served at your church and you gave back to your community. And I remember being able to see that right away. And I was able to almost like value match, because I was like, although she's far more like merciful and like kind and servant hearted than I am, I was like, oh man, she gives her life away the way I want to give my life away. And so I knew there wouldn't be conflict there. And family as well was a key one, where we both valued family. So we're able to know that, okay, I'm coming into someone who values family as much, if not more than me. So that saved us so many different like conversations and conflicts, where it's like a big sacrifice in the name of protecting family relationships.
Yeah.
Has been easy for both of us to accept because we both value family. Whereas if I got into a relationship with someone who family was like 10th down their list of values, it would be a lot harder for me because we don't align on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you guys probably caught it. I said, know who you are and know who you aren't. And I feel like when you're looking for someone, I just remember back when I was single, sometimes I would like see someone or meet someone that was like super into like climbing or hiking or something like that. Like so, let's say like a really niche thing that I have no experience with. That's why I chose like climbing and hiking. And I remember I would like almost do like acrobatics in my head. I'd be like, oh, like I could be like that one day. Like, you know, maybe that person could like teach me their hobby and like I could get super into it too. And yeah, sure, maybe some people could do that. But I knew deep down, like, I'm not going to be the person that's like spending all my time outside climbing and hiking. I don't love being cold. I don't like the rain. I love being outdoors, but it's like, it's a bit of a reach. So it's important to kind of know who you aren't so that you're not making compromises and like overreaching when you're trying to start a relationship with someone, because that's going to come out eventually and then it's just going to be hard.
Yeah. And there's like frameworks to follow too. Like I think about like red light values, yellow light values, and green light values. Green light is like a non-negotiable. Like say someone says like, oh, climbing will always be a part of my life. Like 8 hours a week I'm going to spend climbing. And say climbing for you like lives in the yellow, like you're like, oh, I could get into climbing. But giving 8 hours to it would be pretty hard for me. But it might still work if you're like, oh, but I'm okay if my partner spends 8 hours.
And climbing. If the partner's okay if you're not doing it with them all the time.
But if the person's green light value is a red light value for you, like you can't see why it's valuable, you can't see why would someone ever want to do it. It's kind of like, make sure to be suspicious of that and pay attention to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really good. I think whether it be that framework or another, it's important for you to develop some sort of grid of what your values are, who you are, who you aren't, and have that as a filter when you're meeting someone.
And what you're hoping for someone else to, how you're hoping for them to fill in that grid as well. And what are non-negotiables, what are reds, what are yellows, and
and you don't have to have that all perfectly figured out. I think it's just a matter of like putting intention into that.
That's really good.
And figuring it out as you go. Okay, the third one is we considered all of our relationships as practice.
And I think that this one's so practical, but it's kind of like when it comes to conflict resolution, when it comes to sacrificing for people, when it comes to serving another person, it's like all those things are required of you in marriage. So why don't you practice doing that now? And it's not that like you won't exist fully present in your friendships or with your workmates or with your family outside of considering it a practice, but it's more like trial ground and a way for you to cultivate these things that are required from you in marriage.
I think something that was really cool that Daniel did before we were married is that him and his brother lived together. And it just kind of forced him into this mindset of sharing, of collaboration, of serving one another. And that, I think, was a big part of helping you prep for being married and having someone live with you all the time. And I feel like because it was a family member too. Some people might say that might be easier, but I would say it's almost harder in some ways because it forces you to have those healthy conversations directly.
Totally.
Whereas with some random roommate, you're going to be like, oh, I'm kind of frustrated by that, but I don't care. I'm just not going to say anything.
I think the main thing I'd want someone to hear in this conversation is that you don't stumble into being a healthy spouse. It's like you're healthy in relationships, and that also affects your marriage. So you have to almost like build a track record or have time after time again where you're able to prove to yourself that you're able to resolve conflict or experience stress and not let the other people in your life almost be the punching bags in the midst of your stress. Or
you're able to admit that you're wrong.
Exactly.
You're able to say sorry. Those things are huge. If you can't do that with your friends and your family, it's going to be hard to do that in a relationship. And
I think that like something we do as humans is we almost like limit ourselves in relationships to people who are like us and people who are easy to get along with. But I would say it's like if you have a teammate or a colleague or even a family member that's hard to get along with, allow that relationship to be an avenue through which you can grow in patience and kindness and even in self-control. Because I think it's easy to get along with people who you see once a week, twice a week, or once a month, twice a month, that are really like you and that like the same things that you like, watch the same movies that you watch. But where you really grow as a person is where you almost like allow yourself to be stretched, to be more patient with people who aren't like you, to be more kind to people who are completely different than you, to learn how to almost like expand your ability to relate to people in less like favorable environments. And I find that makes you a stronger person for marriage.
So next time you're really frustrated with that one coworker, consider them a blessing to your life.
Consider them a gift.
A gift.
And you should tell them that.
You to practice your patience.
You should tell them that. Just so
Say,
you know, you're a practice ground.
You're a gift to me because I can practice my patience to you. Such a diss.
You're helping me work on my patience right now. And I wouldn't normally get along with you, but I'm going to embrace this conversation because it's good practice.
So those are 3 things that we did before we met each other that I felt like I said, put us kind of on the same path once we did meet each other. But before we wrap up, I do want to mention, if you guys haven't seen, we do have an Instagram now. So you can feel free to follow it. It's Dan and Mariah. And we'll post clips from our videos like this on there, but also some of our stuff from life and different videos as well. So feel free to follow us along on there.
And if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you think that this video would help someone, make sure to share it with them as well.
Awesome. We'll talk to you guys next week.